Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. It's your buddy, Mr. G. Today, we're going to work on our zombie project here. This is a little project here where we're just going to take a picture of ourselves and we're going to turn that into a zombie just for some fun here. Main part of this lesson is we're going to be learning to use layer masks. So this is going to be one of our first iterations of using layer masks. Masks are a part of Photoshop where they actually hide part of an image without destroying it, like a selection. You kind of copy and paste things out of a selection, and once you copy that out, you've kind of altered that original image. A mask doesn't actually destroy that image, it actually just hides part of it. So we're going to use that today. So a couple things we're going to need. First, we're going to get into this assignment here, and we are going to go to this holiday fun zombies and sugar skulls assignment here. So we're going to talk about the zombie project here. We're going to need a couple files here. We're going to need this file right here. I've got a picture of myself. Now, I took this picture of myself using Photo Booth on the Mac there in class, so I'd like you to do the same. You're going to take a picture of yourself. Don't use Mr. G's picture, but I want you to have a similar pose. I want you to have, do your best zombie face, but I want you to have one hand raised up so that we can kind of dirty our fingernails, but try to make sure that your hand is not in front of your face. So a similar pose, you don't have to have both hands up, but zombie face, kind of a ghoulish face. The head doesn't have to be, straight up and down. You can tilt it. You can kind of arch whatever and kind of go, make a, so we can see your teeth too, because we're going to alter your teeth and your fingernails. So that's why we need those. Okay. Next photo, we are going to need the instructions. That's what we're going to be making right there with our picture. We're going to need this picture here of the graveyard. Okay, so two pictures you need. You need to take a photograph of yourself using Photo Booth that we can alter, and then we're going to use this picture of this graveyard. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to just copy this here, copy this image, Command Tab. I'm going to go over here to Photoshop. There's the file that I was working on a second ago. We're going to go ahead and go File. We're going to go to New, make a new file. We want to give every file we have a name. I want you to call it zombie your name. Obviously your name, don't type your name. We want this to be in inches. We want it to be 10 inches wide and 8 inches tall. Resolution is 300 dpi. White background, go ahead and create that. Okay, we'll hit Command V to paste that graveyard scene into the background. We're going to just stretch that up to fill the whole space there. Return to commit that. We'll call that graveyard and the layers option. And then we're going to go and file and save this to make sure we are saving as we go. We're going to put this zombie your name in zombies, and we're going to hit save. Maximum compatibility auto. Okay. I'm going to bounce back and I'm going to get my picture in one more. Photoshop here. You're going to get yours from Photo Booth again. I'm going to hit Command V, paste that in there. And again, I'm just going to size this up here so that I can put this in here. Now my hands go off the screen, so does the bottom of my body. So I'm just going to size that up so those are going to line up just like that. Okay. Those areas up here are going to go out a little bit. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and layer this the original, return, and then I'll hit Command S to save my progress. So we're all set up to do this. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the background, and I'm going to lock that. Move my video up here. So I went ahead and turned off the eyeball for the background. I locked that so we don't actually draw on it, and we're going to work on this original part here. Now, the first thing we're going to do is select and mask this. Okay. I'm going to get a selection tool. I'm just going to get my lasso tool here, and we're going to use this lasso tool to enact the select and mask option. Now you'll see this in every tool that's in Photoshop for selection. So all your selection tools are going to have this select and mask option. Okay, so even the rectangle marquee tools still have this select and mask tool. So it doesn't really matter which one you do. You're going to select that button, select and mask, and it's going to bring this up here. Okay. If you don't see this red color here, you are probably looking at the onion skin, which is like this. Okay, if it looks white, just go down to this overlay. I like the overlay because it is an excellent way to see the overlay on this. Okay, colors right here. I like to turn it up to about 50%. That way we can see what we're doing very clearly. Okay, so that's set up. So what does this screen do? This helps us create a mask so that we can see the background and the mask and our subject all at once. So I'm going to select subject, and it's going to do most of the work for us. Select subject does most of the work, and it seems we got a pretty good selection here. Okay, looks we got some messes here, but around my hair is always problematic, and most of you probably had some trouble around your hair as well. So hair is notoriously difficult to select. So we've got some tools up here. Okay, this is the quick selection tool. It works just like the quick selection tool does in regular Photoshop. We're making selections. We get around the edge. We've already got a selection though, so we're not going to use that one a whole lot. So like if we wanted to add something to this, we would go and click and drag. But like I said, we've got a selection. So I'm just going to hit Command Z, undo that. Then we've got two main tools we're going to use here. The Refine Edge Brush tool is going to refine edges. It's very important to remember that. It only refines edges. You only want to use this on the edges of your selection. So around the outsides here, I wouldn't use this in an area like this. I'd use it only around the edge. We're going to use that to help fix our hair up. Okay, and then we have the brush tool. It's going to start with our brush tool. Okay, first, to make a good selection, we're going to get in here really close. Okay, now my knuckles, you can see here, are a little bit jagged, so I'm going to use this. Okay, now I have a plus and minus up here to add to my selection and minus for my selection. Okay, so if I want to opt something out, I hold down the option key, it gets that minus. If I want to add something, it gives me that. Okay, so I'll hit Command Z. So what I'm going to do, Command Z, I am going to remove this edge here and just kind of clean up that edge around my fingers where it's a little bit jagged because of that pattern behind me, and I'm just going to clean those up. And I'm just going to take my time here. And I'm going to just kind of clean up those things. If I do something I don't want to do, I just hit Command Z. You can make this, because it's a brush, I can use those bracket keys right above your return key on your keyboard to make this brush bigger and smaller as I need. So make sure you do that. Hold down Option to kind of clean up that edge there. Now this is a hard thing. My hand, it's a hard thing. It's not like our hair, which is soft. So like right here on the edge of my beard right here, down here you can see it's kind of fuzzy here, but up here it gets really off. So right here, I'm going to use this Refine Edge brush. So, and I'm going to drag that plus sign right down across there, and you'll see it's going to think for a second. And what it's going to do, it's going to take that area and make it 50% opacity and select part of it. So it's going to push the background back, and it's going to have that hair kind of come through as it filters away, and it'll make it a more accurate selection. Okay, I'm going to go back over here to my ear. I need to kind of clean up just a little bit there. And I'm just going to use my hand tool by pressing down on my space bar, kind of cleaning up what is not needed. If I need to make the brush smaller, I'll clean that up. Now I'm up here to my hair again, so I'm going to get that Refine Edge brush, okay? And I'm going to keep it fairly small because I don't want to have a big swath. But I'm just going to go up along the edge of my hair here. And I'm going to do this in parts, and it's going to give me this kind of soft edge where I can see my hairs there a little bit, but it doesn't know exactly where the edge is. So I'm just going to work my way around up here. Okay. Now, once I get up here, I can see some areas where my hair is, as thin as Mr. G's thinning hair is up here. I can still see where it is. So I'm going to get the brush, and I'm going to paint in, and you can take your opacity down if you need to. There you can see a little bit better. and I'm going to paint in the areas that I know my hair is. So I'm going to kind of go up here where I can see this. Not up where it gets really thin, but I'm at least going to get the areas where I can definitely see my hair. And I'm just going to kind of scrub that in there on the edge, making my brush larger and smaller. If I do something that doesn't look right, I'll make it a little bit smaller. Then I'm going to get this refined edge brush, and I'm going to add those other areas in. Where I need to work on those edges a little bit. Where it's really fine, where it's kind of hard to see. And then I'll continue to work down here. Okay. Now, depending on, I obviously don't have a whole lot of hair, but if you have really curly hair or you have really big hair, you got to go all the way around it. This might take you a bit more time. My hair is pretty close cropped along the side of my head there, and I just have that little tuft of hair on top that I have to really worry about. Once I get back to like a solid thing like my ear, I'm going to switch back to a hard brush, go in a little bit bigger, adding and subtracting what I need, using my space bar and my hand tool to move around the edge. My jacket's got good high contrast. Now back down here, I need to get my brush and I need to take out a little bit of areas down here. But overall, it gave me a pretty good selection. Again, just slowing down and taking your time is the difference between a really good selection and a really bad selection. So make this a little bit bigger, go down here, this whole area. Oop, we don't need. So we're gonna kind of zip, zop, zoop that all out of there. I'll hit Command 0 to go back to the big screen here. And that looks pretty good. I've improved my selection, so I have a really accurate selection. So that mask is going to hide all of that in the background. So once we're done here with this and you're happy with it, I'll go ahead and I'll go back in here. I'll slide all the way down here to this output settings. If it's closed, you can go click it open. But I want to go not to a selection. I want to make a layer mask with this. I'm going to say, okay. After I do that, you see I've got a pretty darn good selection I'm happy with. I can turn on my background, see how that looks. That looks pretty good. I know we got a little bit of sticker effect going on. We're going to work on that and take that down just a little bit. So at this point, we're going to say Command S. Okay. Now, like I said, you can still see my thumbnail here. You can see the background. You can see the mask right there. If I go and Option click on there, you can see the actual mask I made. When I zoom in, up here, you can see that 50% opacity up there on my hair on that mask. It's letting some come through and some come out. Okay, so that's what it actually looks like. But with the background behind it and everything, it looks pretty good. Okay, so we're going to go back out and hit Command 0. Okay, now if for some reason you did not, I'm going to right click on my layer mask here and say disable layer mask, and you see my background is still there. I've just used the mask to hide it. Okay, and I can edit that if I need to. Okay, if for some reason you get to this point and your mask looks terrible, or you missed a finger or something, or your hair looks really bad, you need to go back into that screen. All you do is double click on that mask and you'll go right back into that masking screen. Okay, go ahead and push OK and just leave it be. Okay, again, hit Command S, save your progress. All right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the color about our skin. We're going to go up here to Image, and I want you to make sure that you're on the layer with the thumbnail. I don't want to affect the mask. Notice I can select the mask and I can select the thumbnail. I want to select the thumbnail of the picture with you on it. I'm going to go up here to image. I'm going to go to adjustments. I'm going to go down here and I want to find the control called vibrance. Vibrance is good for correcting skin tones. Okay, I use it exclusively for correcting skin tones. If I need a subject, it's very subtle, works on the warm tones. If I need to be warmed up a little bit because of my environment or I've gone to a place where it's less warm, I can take vibrance up or down. In this case, we're doing the opposite. We want it to make it look like you've been dead for a few days, so we're going to take it all the way to the left and take the color all the way out of your skin. Now, if you look at the picture here, you notice it didn't make it black and white. What it did, it took the warm tones of my skin tones and knocked them all the way down. So I got that good zombie complexion going on there. Okay. Now, next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to hit Command S, save my progress. Command S, save that progress. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to get the dodge and burn tools. Okay. There are a couple clicks underneath your paint bucket there. The dodge and burn tools are photographic tools. Okay. And they do make things lighter. Dodge makes things lighter. Burn makes things darker. Okay. Burn looks like a little hand, like making a zero there. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to darken my eye sockets and around my cheekbones. And what the dodge tool does and the burn tool does, it doesn't paint, and it's a brush, so I can make it bigger or small with those bracket keys above my uh, return key. It doesn't actually paint. What it does, it takes the pixels that are already there and it makes them darker. Okay, so I'm going to do it on around my eye sockets here using my thing, but I want to get in kind of close on this. Don't do this far away, kind of zoom in so you can see what you're doing. I'm not darkening my eyes at this point. I'm just kind of going around, leaving the whites of my eyes there so I can see them. We'll get to the eyes here in a second. And then I'm going to use the opposite. I'm going to use the dodge tool to kind of push forward my brows and my nose and cheekbones. And we're just kind of doing like a makeup job here where we are kind of making our face look more skullish. And I'm going to switch back to the burn tool and I'm going to kind of enhance under my cheekbones. I'm going to get a really big brush here and I'm going to kind of make V's under my cheekbones, maybe just around in the corners of your mouth, darken a little bit here on the side of your skull here as well. Just kind of dent in the side of your skull and you're just kind of looking a little skullish, looking a little unhealthy. You can zoom out, kind of see where you're at, looking pretty awful there. Okay. Once you got that where you like it, if you go too far, you can just Command Z, or you can also go and you just push back with the opposite tool. So dodge is going to make it darker, dodge is going to make it lighter, burn is going to make it light or darker. Did I say that right? The dodge tool will make it lighter, burn tool will make it darker. So if you get one or the other, you can use the opposite tool to reverse it. Okay. Now we're going to use that same burn tool and we're going to go and we're going to do the same thing to our fingernails. Just kind of go over anywhere where there's a crease, like your nail bed or where the end of your nails are. We're just going to go over them and just kind of dirty up your nails a little bit. These places down here, anytime place I see a crease, I'm just going to kind of dirty up a little bit and just make it a little bit darker, like I've been digging around in the graves for bones and I've been dead for weeks and I'm not having a good time at all. So just kind of hit your fingernails, creases of your hands there like that. Okay, get that to where you like it, and then we're going to say Command S and save that progress again. All right, next we're going to work on your eyes. To do the eyes, what we're going to do, we're going to get a brush. So we're just going to get a regular old brush here, and we're going to get a soft brush for this, okay? So you've got your brush here. If it looks all closed down and your brushes look like this, I've got all my brushes, and your brush palette looks like this or like that. I like to take this, just drag it all the way up, just grab that corner, drag it all the way open, and just open up all your brushes so you see all the brushes that you can use in Photoshop. Okay, two main brushes are soft brushes and hard brushes. For this, we want to get a soft brush, so double click on that. Okay, size, this is a brush, so I can make it bigger or smaller with my bracket keys. We're working on the eye, so I'm going to get in here close to the eye, and I'm going to start with making a selection here. So I'm going to select the whites of my eye only, just the whites. Okay. Remember, you can use your Option key to add or subtract. And I'm going to add this eye over here. I don't want that gland in the corner of your eye, just kind of the whites of your eyes here. Got a little too much there. I'm going to loop that out of there. All right, so once I got a selection I'm happy with, I'm going to get that brush and I'm going to hold it over my eye here. I want to get white, so I'm going to get here. I'm going to get pure white. And with that soft brush, mine's about 45, about the size of that eye. I'm trying to knock out the center of my eye there, so I'm just going to go in here and click one time. I'm going to go in the center of this eye, and I'm going to click one time. Okay, kind of gives this glowing effect here, okay? Now I'm going to kind of make that brush a little bit bigger, about like that. This time I'm going to take the opacity or the flow of this brush and I'm going to take it down. I'm going to take it down to about 50%. I'm just going to give it one click and one click. I'm going to hit Command D, see how that looks. That looks pretty good to me. I might go in here with my burn tool and just knock my right eye down just a little bit here, just so it's not so glowing. Knock down the edges a little bit just so it doesn't fit in. Okay, I don't want my eyes to look like they're glowing, just kind of deadened over. I'm going to hit Command 0, see how that looks. Awesome. Hit Command S, save my progress. Okay, next we're going to bulge out one of your eyes. So I'm going to make one of your eyes all big and bulgy, like it's been infected and everything's going wrong. Zombie having a bad day. We're going to go to Filter and we're going to look for a filter called Liquify. It's going to take us into another screen here. Again, it won't show the mask in this, so that's normal. Okay, we're going to look for this tool over here called Bloat. Okay, we can do all kinds of things in the Liquify tool here. You can go in here and you can squish your face all around. It's not really what we want to do, but it's really what it does. It's going to liquefy the image so you can move it around like jelly. I'm going to go in here and what I want to do, I'm going to get in here, I'm going to get my magnifying glass and I'm going to get again closer to my eye. Get my hand tool, move that around. I'm going to find this tool, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tool down is called the Bloat tool. Okay, I'm going to make it about as big as my eye socket. You make it bigger or smaller with your bracket tools over top of your right hand. And I'm going to click it, and the longer I hold it, it makes my eye bigger. Okay, so I'm going to make and exaggerate my eye so it's a little puffed up and big. Once I'm happy with where it's at, I say, okay, go ahead and apply that. Then I got that. If it's too much, just hit Command Z, go back and try it again. I'm going to go Filter, Liquify, go one more time. I'm going to go backwards just a little bit. That was a little too much. It was looking a little too cartoony. All right, there we go. I like that. All right. Now we're going to go and we are going to knock some holes in our head next, okay? So for this one, we're going to add a new layer, okay? And I'll tell you why here in a second. So go ahead and hit Command S, save your progress. I'm going to go up, make new layer. On that new layer, I'm going to get a brush. I'm going to get my brush tool, okay? Now for this one, we use a soft tool to kind of airbrush over the eyes. For this, I want a hard brush. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to select my hard round brush, okay? I'm going to go ahead and turn that opacity. I'm going to turn that all the way back up to 100%. And for this, I want to go and we're going to put a hole in my forehead or just below my skin here. And I'm going to look for kind of a yellowy bone color. So up here in this top, like 10, 20% up here, I'm looking for. I don't want it pure white. I don't want it really bright yellow either. So somewhere right about in there that I've got up here. Okay. I'm going to zoom in again. I'm going to go down and I'm going to make this brush much smaller. And what I'm going to do, I am going to, it's fine, we'll just use that. I'm just going to kind of squiggle in a couple holes here, like somebody like hit me in the head with a rock or something here. So I'm just going to kind of make a little wound there like that. Maybe I'll do another one here and like that. So I kind of got 3 little holes in my head. Okay, now that just kind of looks like yellow paint on my head or something, or like that sticker effect doesn't really look like it's on my head yet. So we're going to do an effect that's going to do this. Let's go ahead and change this. We'll call this holes. Okay, now we're going to add a layer effect to this. To get to the layer effects, you can click this FX button down here, or you can just go up on the empty part here and double click and it'll bring up your layer effects. Okay, position this somewhere where you can see what you're doing. I'm working right here in this area so I can see it. I'm going to go to my bevel and emboss here. Okay, and immediately you will see that it's adding shadows to it and everything. And it kind of looks like paint drops on my head now or something, or somebody got some mustard on my head. So we want to have an inner bevel, but I want to change the angle of it and get that so it looks like it's indented. So it's like an actual like little pit or a little hole there. So what I'm going to do first, I want you to go and click reset to default in case you've been in here and you've monkeyed with some of your uh, instructions or some of your sliders here. Just go ahead and say reset to default. Make sure you have the bevel and emboss here. We're not really going to play with much else in here. You can do lots of things, but I'm just going to pull this angle down to like 5 o'clock. And then immediately you see it kind of adds that thing. So the light's going to kind of look like it's shadowing right there. So the skin's overlapping just a little bit there. Okay. You can make that bigger or smaller if you want. I really don't mess with it a whole lot. Just, kind of reset to default there. If you want to change the color, you can. You can even do that. For this, we're just going to leave it like that because we're going to say okay. And now it kind of looks like we got a little hole. Now to make that effect kind of look like it's on our head a little bit there, we're going to go and take down the opacity a little bit so we can kind of see our skin through there a little bit. And now I'm going to go down about 50% there, somewhere 50, 60%. And we've got kind of a little hole in our head there. Okay, now you'll see these layer effects are right there. If you need to get back into them, just double click those there, brings them right back up. Okay, now everything, the reason we did this on its own layer and not on here, because this whole layer is going to have effect. If we had done this on here, we would have this bevel effect on everything. So on my whole image here would have this bevel effect, and that's not what we want. We just want it on these two holes here, okay? So if I go in here, and let's go ahead and add a scar onto my face too. Let's go ahead and get, let's get a kind of red color here. And I'm going to go like kind of right in the middle here, okay? And I'm going to get that brush tool again. Where's my brush? I'm going to make it a little smaller here. And let's go on my cheek here and just kind of take and I'll add it. You can see it's already adding that shadow and bevel effect right to it. Everything that I put on this layer is going to have that effect. Okay, I don't want to go too far here. Maybe I'll make another one over here, kind of. There we go. I'm kind of all banged up. Ran through some brambles there or something and got myself all hurt. Okay. All right, so there's that. All right, now, Command 0, hit Command S, save your progress. All right, what are we going to do next? Next thing we're going to knock some teeth out here. So we're going to get that brush. I'm going to get a soft brush. I'm going to zoom in to my mouth here, okay? I'm going to get my brush tool. With my brush tool, again, I wanted to get a soft brush for this. I'm going to get a soft brush and make it appropriate. I'm going to knock out probably, let's see, I'm going to knock out this tooth and this tooth right here, okay? So what color do I want to use here? Since I've got my brush tool, I can hold the Option key and I can select colors right here. So there is the colors right there that's going to match perfectly. It looks to be not exactly black. So I'm going to take right around there. I'm going to sample that color and I'm going to use that. Oop, Command Z. Now, I just said this. I want to get back on my layer, my regular layer here. I could do this on its own layer if I wanted to. Or, yeah, let's do that. Let's go ahead and make a new layer. And let's call this Teeth and Veins. Okay. On that layer, I'm going to go in here and I am going to, oh, Command Z, Command Z. I labeled the wrong layer. Hold on. I changed my holes layer. There's my new layer. That's the one we're going to call Teeth and Veins. It fell immediately because it was adding that effect to it. So now from there, on this layer, I'm just going to kind of airbrush out these teeth here. I'll knock those guys out there. And again, I sampled the color right from inside there. And we got some teeth. You can knock out as many teeth as you see fit there. Okay. Looking perfectly spooky there. And you kind of zoom out and see how you're doing. All right. Now, the thing we're going to do to kind of finish this up here, we're going to go in here and get our brush. I'm going to get a hard brush for this. I'm going to get a hard brush. And I literally want to have my size. I'm going to make this 1 or 2. I'm going to set mine to 2 pixels wide. what I'm going to do, I'm going to make some veins on my face. So I'm going to get blue. I'm going to get a kind of a neutral blue right in the middle there. I'm going to zoom in and we're going to put some veins on my forehead here. Okay. With that hard 2-pixel brush, I'm just going to kind of start drawing some Y's here. So I'm just going to make some veins here. Just kind of draw them out. Put one there. Maybe I'll put one over here. Let's say just kind of make some kind of Y chicken feet looking things there, like that. Okay. Now to kind of soften them up just a little bit, we're going to use over here in the blur, sharpen, and smudge tool. We're just going to use the smudge tool. I'm going to get the smudge tool right there. You'll see it comes in and it's just like a blender. It's going to smudge a little bit. I'm going to go and just go over the beginning and ends of these and just soften them up just a little bit. Okay. Again, this is on its own layer, so I'm not really affecting what's underneath. And I can kind of soften those up a little bit. And I can just kind of go and just keep adding them if I want. Maybe I'll put some around my eyes here. And then go back over here to the smudge tool and smudge that up a little bit. And kind of keep bouncing back and forth. Now you might have to adjust the color a little bit for your complexion. So if you have a darker complexion, you might have to adjust it a little bit. You can use red. So if you wanted to use a red color too, you could do that. I'd stay right in the middle as well and say we add some little arteries and veins. Get my brush. We'll just add some veins in here. I say kind of use your eyes are your best tool when you are doing digital art or any art. Does it look good? If it doesn't look good, what's working, what's not, what needs to be adjusted? Okay. I'll add one more on my nose here and smudge it up here. Okay. I'm feeling pretty good about my zombie that I've made there. Okay. So that pretty much wraps it up, other than going and you can make this as rough as you want. If you want to bang your zombie up a little bit, give yourself a little extra self-love, you go right ahead. If you want to affect, you could even like mask off part of your fingers or anything. If you're looking a little bit bright, you can also take down the opacity just a little bit. So I'm going to take down my opacity, to about 90%, just a little bit there. And you can see that just takes down my color a little bit more to kind of fit into this bluish background here. So that pretty much wraps up what we want to do with this project. Make sure you say Command S. When you turn this in, you want to make sure you hit Command S, save a working copy in Photoshop. And you're also going to go and you're going to take a screenshot for this one so that I can see your masking layers and all the wonderful things you did, and I can see your bevel effects. Okay, so to make a screenshot, you're going to hit Command Shift and the number 3. So Command Shift and the number 3. You will see a little screenshot down here in the corner, just like that, and that'll go to your desktop and you can turn that in. All right, everybody have a wonderful day. Stay creative, and I will see you tomorrow.